All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Robert here, Smirking Gun Reviews, back to finally talk more about The Boys. Sorry about the wait on this. I was going to do a lot more content when I was on my vacation, but my depression kicked in and barely did anything. So we're going to nail them. We're going to knock everything out of the park. Well, we're going to finish it anyway. We're going to do episode 6, 7, and 8 as long as it takes here. I don't want to skip out on anything. Also to just get to some newer content, because this show came out at the end of July, and because it's taking me longer than I wished. And like, let's just face it, I mean, I don't do this now, I don't do this for, mainly for the reasons that, I want subscribers, I want likes, but the views and stuff, they're just not here. They're just not. But I don't want to finish this. I don't want to leave this unfinished. But I also don't want to take any more time up. If the channel's not going to grow at all from these, then I want to get them done. It's about motivation, and without any new growth from this stuff that I do, it's time to just get it over with in a way. Because I really like this show. I still stand by what I said in my video with Gino Reynolds, that this is one of my favorite things of the year because of how original this take is on it, because we've seen it before, but just not like this. Definitely not in the Garth Ennis way. So we start with episode 6. So full spoilers if you have not seen 6, 7, or 8 of the series. And this one's called The Innocents. What we have here in this episode is a documentary, but I feel like it's more of a mockumentary because they're trying to do something. This looks like something you'd see on like CMT or some other like kind of cable show that's like, well, the one girl talks about how it's like TLC and Learning Channel, so I guess it's more like that, where just this phony baloney kind of reality show propaganda, really, to get you to like the superheroes more, and to get, it's all so that they can be seen, accepted in the military. And so we got to see them being all wholesome and fucking, this feels like it would play here in the Midwest, where there's a certain portion of the population that eats this kind of stuff up. And it's very, manipulative to people that aren't savvy enough to see through this kind of stuff. I do like that the producer of it is played by Jackie Tone. She is wonderful. If you haven't seen her on Glow, she's absolutely fabulous. So I really like that she's in this here. But yeah, it's just propaganda. And it's laughable. But the thing is like, stuff like this plays. This phony baloney reality stuff. I mean, look at how long the Kardashians have been around, and that is dog shit garbage. But people eat it up. Unfortunately, I don't get it, but whatever. It's like reading tabloid magazines, but put to fake life. And as I predicted, Starlight's, big speech has people talking, but like, it's now the crowd is like, she's made her life more difficult by telling the truth. And like I said, that was what was going to happen. Because now you've got a certain part of the population that's like, oh yeah, you go girl, and, me tooing it and that kind of thing. But it's, the other part is, some people think she's just doing it for attention because, people don't do things for the right reasons. That's one of the things that's just like, wow. Like, everybody just instantly goes for what's your angle? Like, you couldn't just be doing this because it's wrong. You have to be wanting something from this. And it's like, no, I just didn't want to sell any more of my soul. And it's because of everybody else. People don't like I said, truth. People don't like to have the mirror reflected on themselves. People don't like to be reminded of the shit that they've done. And when somebody else rises above that, what do we try to do? We try to bring them down. And that's what's kind of happening here for Starlight. And it's completely expected because people suck. A person is fine, but when you start to get more people together, we can suck pretty bad. So she's been laying low with Hugh, um, just trying to, stay out of the limelight, go off, off the grid, which, a lot of us do sometimes when we just need some time away, where we just go dark. I've done it myself, as you guys know. Um, and we have this friend of Huey's that shows up. And at first I thought he was going to be an asshole because he's laying it on thick, like hitting on her in front of him and sitting next to her. And then telling him, she's out of your league. And I was like, Jesus Christ, are there any nice people on this show besides Hugh's dad and Annie? But, he says that he's concerned. And, we've never been introduced to this character. So I kind of just have to believe that he had friends. Honestly, he feels more like somebody who just wants a story, because there's no context. And there's a lot of people out there that just will tell you things, like, oh, hey, how are you? Oh, I haven't heard from you in a while. Are you okay? Knowing that it's really just they want the story. They want to have something to tell somebody else. I mean, and maybe that's cynical of me, but it's just, look, I've worked at a lot of different places, and I've had a lot of friends that I work with and things like that. And some people are fine with that, but then after a while, you can kind of start to read through the people's bull crap. Like, oh, really? Do you really care? Um, wow, it's early in the morning, so my filter's kind of off. Um, Homelander and his phony baloney trip to the family home. And again, he's the best at like pretending that he gives a shit. At most of the time. Most of the time. I mean, he is the stereotype. He's like Superman. If you know, we know that he's a psychopath. Like he's doing the Superman shtick of, oh, you're the real heroes and things like that. He's not going over the top with it too much. But the actor who plays him, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It's right there. I keep wanting to say Chase Crawford because he's the recognizable name in my brain, but it's not that. He's really good on this show, by the way. I may hate the Homelander character, but it means that he's working. That means that the actor's doing his job. And I was first at thinking that he probably killed his parents, not knowing kind of what happens later on. And that the blanket trigger. That was what made me think, oh, okay, well, it's some sort of pain or trauma from his past that triggered, which made me think, oh, well, maybe he did have real parents. And it's like, well, whoops, I was kind of whiffing it. I whiffed it on that. But I mean, I guess we really didn't have any. I mean, we saw the lab. And so I didn't, I guess I just kind of thought that maybe that those babies were new, that this was a new part of things. But again, in a normal show, you probably feel bad for this character going, oh, something happened to him that caused him to be this way. And that blanket is reminding him of that. But it's Homelander, and he's killed so many people that I don't care what happened to him. Because at some point, you have to take responsibility for the actions that you do now, not just blame everything in the past. It's up to us to rise above the things that have happened to us. Trust me. I've had to rise above a lot of shit. And it's taken me a really long time, but I own up to my crap. And Homelander can't. Let's see. The Samaritan's Embrace. It's a front for the Compound V delivery. Basically, it's like the people that go around. Imagine the people that do like the cup of coffee for a kid kind of thing for Africa. Except, what if they were, smuggling in like some terrible thing instead of actually doing that job? Where it's all dialed up nice and neat like a corporation does. And I mean, this show is definitely making the corporations more the villain than the superheroes. They're kind of sliding into this we made them this way. So we, the kind of some of the responsibility goes off of them and onto the company. And it's hitting it really, really hard. And it's making, a lot of like kind of similarities to other big corporations that are really powerful right now. You know, you know what I'm talking about. And not just them, but they have like, they're trying to figure out, that they find out that Homelander's a historical black hole. There's no research on him. You can't find his family and all this stuff. And it makes you go, oh, okay. I figured it out then. I was like, he was made in the lab, or he was, raised in the lab. And that's going to be their reasoning for why he's so disassociated towards people. The female character, who we later, they finally give her a name, Kamiko. So I'm going to stop calling her the female, but even though we don't get her name right away. But she's trying to communicate. She just can't, because she's been through so much that she's just kind of blanked out, and she's trying to get back. And we got Huey again, written to be super guilty. Oh, let me know. Again, it's one of my few gripes about this show is sometimes this show is really cliche and not on purpose. It's just, he's the liar character, okay? And a lot of people don't like the liar character because he's lying for good reasons, but you know that he's going to get found out. And once he gets found out, then we have to go through the whole, I did it for the right reasons thing. And it's been done to death. And I realized this book came out a long time ago. It's a trope that people still rely on, and it's very annoying. So Stewie, Starlight goes back to Vought Industries after a little hiatus here, and we hear Ashley getting fired by Madeline. And so when she comes out the door with her crazy eyes, I was just like, yeah, fuck her. Like, and then she has the audacity to like turn around. I don't have to kiss your ass anymore. And it's like, keep walking, you psychopath. So I was like, thank God, because honestly, I want to see this actress do something besides this kind of role. I hope she gets it one of these days where she can play somebody that's not so, where you just don't care if she gets killed or not. You know what I mean? Like, she's a fine actress. Like, just, she's being typecast pretty quickly in between this and Jessica Jones. But okay, I hate to agree with Madeline in this way, or the writing for Madeline, because it's right in a fucked up way. Calling her out, and you wanted to be a superhero, okay? You wanted fame. Like a lot of people go seeking it out. Why do you think all these fucking reality shows, I mean, look at everybody. Do you think half these people know what they're doing when they go on these shows? They don't. They're just the next in line, like, oh God, yes, I'll do whatever. I do whatever, even if it's humiliating myself on some stupid, I don't know, like the game shows that they do where they put you through the ringer. But it's, it's kind of a strong arm tactic though, because Starlight's, even though she wanted to do good, but she wanted to be a superhero, she wanted to be out there. But her like way of going back at Madeline, it's really kind of naive in an obvious way that they'll just kill you. Like, you act like you have something that you can, like, yeah, you can come at them, but corporations have had things flown at them and and attack them. They have teams and teams of lawyers and endless money to fight you forever, which is why a lot of people, if there's probably lots and lots of lawsuits out there on these corporations, but they just get, nothing ever happens because the lawyers can keep it in limbo forever because they can just keep throwing money at it because they keep making money every day. And they have like, reserves just for this kind of thing, for lawsuits, to protect them. It's fucked up because it's an unfair advantage. Basically, it means they can do whatever they want and you can never win. unless somebody decides to make an example out of somebody. And again, it's just, if you really think about how things are run in this country, it's in every country really that has this kind of situation. It's just, ugh. Um, Deep in his green initiative is really funny because he's out there and he's still like on camera while they're filming, sees a hot girl walk by and he's like, hey, like even there, his ego, like he's feeling bad about himself, which he should. Rapists should not feel good about themselves. Um, he's just not getting it. He's so dim. It just, but man, A Train, he's he's so in denial that he's blaming him blaming everybody else for what happened to his girlfriend. Like, if everything would be fine if you just left it alone, and oh, why couldn't you just let us be fucking murderers? Just ugh. Oh yeah, and again, like I said, people like Maeve think Starlight's Empowerment Act is, an act that it's desperate and jealous. Again, like I said, the mirror being reflected. That Maeve's been going through some problems, seeing like, Starlight being the new girl and seeing that, who she used to be, which I was right. A lot of these soups started out with great ideas and then let themselves get chipped away to stay famous, to get the things that they wanted. And it's like, that's why, if you really love something, sometimes you just have to not be able to compromise, even if it means you don't get to be as famous as you could be, you know? And I'm not going to keep drawing on myself as an example all the time. I shouldn't, but I mean, that's why I won't monetize, because then I know that I would have to change things, and I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to compromise that. And look, it helps that nobody's dangling anything in front of me either. So it's easy to stand on my moral high ground when nobody's offered me anything. It's like the real test is when something like that happens. We get Frenchie comes up with an idea to communicate with Kimiko, and he talks about this guy named Mesmer, who is played by Haley Joel Osment, who I love, who we don't get to see enough of these days, but when we do get to see him, I love it. He plays a ex-suit called Mesmer. Basically, he's a psychic. He touches you, he can read your mind, he can see what you're going to do, what you feel, all this stuff. And Hugh and Billy go to a collateral damage meeting, which means people that were hurt by soups to varying degrees. It's like, a victims panel kind of thing where, oh, I got saved, but he broke my spine, and people feeling bad, and Billy seeing this, and as like, look at these weak people. Do you want to be like them? Are you going to do something about it? Because he sees Hugh just, starting to drift away from them. And to keep him under Billy's thumb, he's trying to show them, like, you don't be like these people. But it's also a scene in which where, it's a scene for Billy to have an opportunity to share some of his past. And it really just shows how much of a raw nerve this is. And when we find out what happens by the end of this, I mean, it's the raw nerve is exposed and getting stabbed, basically. And it's, I don't know. I get why there's something like this. And I kind of see it from all sides. Like, I can see why people would need to talk about it, but I also see why Billy would kind of be like, get over it a little bit. You're alive. You know what I mean? I don't know. Because I've been to a victims impact panel, and I've been to like therapy, like group therapy for like addiction and stuff, where people share and things like that. And it's good and it's healthy in certain ways. But I also have seen people in those rooms that are basically laughing about it. And so it's just, it depends on your perspective. But like Malcolm Barrett from Preacher, he's back out. He was the writer who was trying to sell Starlight on her story, which, it's funny that this guy is in a victims impact panel. And we get this story that is pretty funny, where he was having sex with a superhero that could turn, she was basically like Iceman, like Bobby Drake. But during sex, she changed into her ice form for a split second and snapped his dick off. Now that's funny. That is funny. And that, like, but Billy sees it as, like, don't you think maybe, okay, there's a possibility that it wasn't an accident. That maybe she just didn't care that while you were inside her, she changed, because that's just what they do. And it's his kind of like unwillingness to see them as people and not just their powers and not just their, wanting to be famous and things like that. So he is blinded by his rage, because we know that you can have powers and be good. It's when you get involved with the people that want to control those powers. And isn't it kind of funny that Vought's the only one, like, why aren't there more people out there, or at least maybe there are and they're not being talked about, that are out there doing their own thing? Are they stifled or kept from doing their powers and being regular superheroes because of the corporation? Like, if you don't join us, we'll ruin you, kind of thing. But the thing is, now that we know, and again, I'm just going to keep talking about things I know. Now that we know that they're making them, that's why there aren't any more out there. That's how they can keep it all in-house. And that should have been a red flag for a lot of people. It's like, wait, why are all the superheroes in there? Why aren't there more people out there that just decided that they didn't want to be a part of it? And maybe that, like I said, maybe there are, but when they made the decision to leave the company, either they killed them or they've ruined their lives. Like Mesmer doesn't even do anything. He just goes to cons and he had a TV show and stuff. And like, well, what you see with the Deep, where he gets, banished. But let's see, blah, blah, blah. Deep, yeah, like I just said, Deep gets banished, kind of like a priest that diddled kids. They don't fire him. They don't put him in jail. They just move him to a different location, somewhere where he can't embarrass them anymore. And I just thought, well, wouldn't it just be easier if Homelander just fucking killed him? And then they said he just went somewhere. But I think that, for the storyline, we want to see more of like the Deep's, slide. Now, whether that slide is going towards good or not, again, I don't care, as long as their redemption arc, just like Game of Thrones or characters on The Handmaid's Tale, fine. You want a redemptive arc, great. It's only if it leads up to your death. And I have a feeling that if the Deep has a redemptive arc, it will end hilariously bad for the character. Because everything is more and more humiliation for him. And they want him, though, before they banish him, they want to make him make an apology video. And this is hilarious, because you're trying to sell an apology about a sexual assault. This isn't like, I don't know, when a celebrity gets pulled over for a DUI and does a PSA of that, the dead-eyed, I know that, drinking laws are, like, if you've ever seen a PSA by a celebrity, they're fucking hilarious. They are absolutely hilarious, because, I mean, they're actors. Sincerity, faking sincerity is what they do. And some of them, okay? Not everyone, but you can smell the buckwheat through the bullshit, when you see these videos. But we find Mesmer at a con. And this is where I kind of get mad, because a lot of times people, when we show conventions for Comic-Cons, they always show the desperate and sad part of it. And now that I've been to a couple, I've seen some crazy. Okay, I've been in line with some crazy. There was a guy that was talking to us in front of my nephew, who he was clearly a fan of things. He had his own Green Arrow costume, but he was saying some weird shit. And I was like, man, he felt like one of those people that, look, I don't get out and talk to a lot of people out and about in the world, but I can struggle with conversations sometimes. but not like this. Like there's not like this. But I feel like the most part, most of the people that go to cons are just simpler fans that just are out for like it's like going to the zoo in a way. Except you get to pay to walk up to the animals. I'm not comparing actors and celebrities to animals. I'm just comparing the experience to that. Um, but enough with the showing like the cliched con people. I think but it just sells, I guess. Mother's Milk then blackmails him to get him to help because basically everybody just it has something on him. But it's not like bad blackmail. And it's basically he's giving him something that he wants. So you find out that Mesmer had a kid, and he hasn't been able to see her in a while due to whatever's going on in his past. So he goes here to meet his daughter for a while, and like this was like a 10-second reunion. Seriously, he went up to her. He says, "Hey, how you doing?" Blah blah blah, and it's over. It was awkward and weird, and I mean, this scene almost felt, it was so short, it almost felt unnecessary. Only, it was just like kind of just to get that information out there as quick as possible so we could move on. It didn't really feel that heartfelt, and the little girl actress, neither of the actors had the time to show any kind of real attachment to the other person or concern. Haley had to do a lot with like 30 seconds of screen time in this scene. Billy tells Homelander that Billy tells Hugh that Homelander raped his wife, and I automatically wrote "true?" question mark because I feel at this point Billy, and not just this point, but Billy's rage towards Soups and Homelander especially has blinded him, and I feel like it's way too simple because he doesn't know what happened to her. He just assumes something happened to her because what we find out, like when we see like a flashback, something happened. We'll get to it, but I'm glad that I was already kind of picking up on that how much of this story is even true. Um, yeah, and he takes Hugh to that last bench to say that something happened. She wouldn't tell me. She came to this bench. She sat here for 3 hours and she walked away and disappeared. And it's there's something happened, but I don't if since she didn't talk to him, he's just basing it on his own what he was doing, with Mallory. And again, I was like, "Aw, poor Homelander. Oh, how dare you bring me out to this farmhouse and see this stuff?" And that's where it really leads to like, where we go. He didn't have a family, and it explains a lot about his Madeline obsession. If he doesn't have a mommy, then he's looking for a mommy, all right. And he's looking for a mommy that bangs him too. This is like some real dark shit, man. But they bring Mesmer to Kamiko, and it ends pretty much as you'd expect, right? It never just goes like the right way. So she touches him, she breaks his wrist. um, and Maeve and Elena are okay. So Maeve is out there doing her version of the bullshit reality stuff, and Elena just shows up because, of course, she does. Her ex-lover, and they try to have a conversation, which, of course, again, is very obviously being recorded by the producer of the reality thing. And they started, getting a whole bunch of juicy stuff, which maybe they've recorded. But again, if I'm Maeve, I would have broken the fucking camera, okay? I'm not saying that I agree with Maeve as a character and her decisions and stuff, but she's a suit. I wouldn't trust them. I'd be like, I'd throw that film all over the ground. Or I'd just break the machine or find out where they sent that stuff to. And it's just more of the same, like, oh, I'll feel bad for me. I would have come out, but, all this, the corporation. And they find out that Kamiko was a terrorist, that she was a part of a terrorist organization. My guess is she's not. That's what I wrote down. That this is all, again, more manipulation. Like she was in, like we don't know the full story. He didn't give us the full story. He didn't go back far enough. And then, the whole thing with, we find out that they're creating supervillains. That he was raised in a lab. The whole blanket thing, we see him like sitting in a room with the doctors observing him, and he's got a blanket, and it's real like, I don't know. It's real sad, but it's at the same time, like I said, own up to your shit, man. Rise above what happened to you. And it's not easy. I don't want anybody to think that what I'm saying is easy. It's not. Um, and then we do get the full story of Kamiko, that she was kidnapped after her parents were killed. Her and her brother were forced into the terrorist army, and that's why she is the way she is. And that they're using her their terrorists were dosing her with V to make her a super villain. And you can see where this is headed. That the company or somebody close to the company or involved with it or has access to V is trying to make villains so that if you have somebody superpowered to fight, you need them in the military probably. Even though I still don't know why they can't just be like the Justice League and just fuck people up whenever they start shit. But then they have the whole, it's like the rules of other countries, like soups aren't allowed. And again, I say, why is Homelander listening to this? He walks around in his costume all day. We never see him out of costume. So he's so fucking crazy that, like, why would he listen to any of this? It's one of my biggest problems with this show. I love it, but it's like, this guy would be like Superman in Injustice. Okay? And this is before Injustice. And he'd just rule us all. He would just take fucking over. If you wanted to make this like, what would it really be like? Soups would have taken over a long time ago. Fuck the corporations. The corporations would be dust. Everything would be dust. And we'd all be walking, we'd still be walking around in fear. We'd just be in fear of the guy flying around that can blast your face off. The line that was on the TV for Deep's thing, it wasn't on purpose. That's really great. But when Billy takes his information to the feds, to the CIA, they can't touch Homie. Because, and it's pretty obvious of what he'll do if they try anything. Billy is kind of like, what are you supposed to do with a guy that has no weaknesses? They want to give him everything that he wants, but they just can't have that. And even then, again, if Homelander just decides, I've been playing I've been killing people, but playing mostly by your rules, so I don't get thought of as an evil person. But no, I'm done. All right, I can see for a character that paranoid, that's always like looking for somebody to stab him in the proverbial back, which wouldn't work. But anyway, we see that Starlight's power, even her empowerment story, is basically a cash grab. They're going to try to turn it into a movie. She's not even there. And, like with the way that they film things, they could do it. They could make a movie and she wouldn't really even have to be there. And to me, I wrote down, it sounds like how things are now. But they'll just spin a story and make it up. Billy does lie to the team when, he's saying that everything's fine after he got off the phone, got done with talking to Jennifer Esposito's character. But Milk, you can tell right away, isn't buying it. And Mesmer sells out the boys. At first I thought he was climbing the stairs to go kill himself. The way he was talking, pardon me, and going up the building, I was like, oh, he's going to kill himself. Because he's like, says, oh, my daughter doesn't need to talk to me. I read her. I know she was only doing this because, you asked her to. But no, he's on the roof talking to Homelander, selling out the boys because he has a camera on his door. He's pretty clever, by the way. And wants a job. And then starts pushing the Superman of this universe to give him a job and pay him. I thought he was going to just fling him off the roof or something, but he just takes off. And Annie decides she wants to leave. And she tells Huey that. And, let's go. Let's just leave this place. Let's go away from all this. And this is exactly when Bill shows up. During their kiss, exposing Hugh that he's taken his little mission to follow and get information from any too far. And that's where that episode ends. So we're going to jump right into episode 7 in just a second. All right, so we're on episode 7. It's called the Self-Preservation Society, which is a great title, by the way. And we get the backstory to what happened, or at least some of what happened, Billy's versions of events that happened 8 years ago at Christmas time at Vought Industries. And yeah, look, man, again, look at him. Without the beard and everything and the black hair, Karl Urban's Bruce Wayne. He looks just, I mean, seriously, he's got the build. Pattinson, come on. You're great in a lot of you. I saw it. Like, I didn't like the movie Good Time, but you were great in it. That's where they need to put Robert Pattinson, is in movies like that, where he shows his dramatic chops. I want to see Karl Urban as Bruce Wayne. Seriously, make this happen. This is where Homie and Bill, and I'm going to call Homelander Homie from now on, just because it's shorter. Because I was sick and tired of writing the whole word Homelander every time I was taking notes. So Homie and Billy meet. And deceptive is what I wrote. Deceptive, isn't it? It makes you wonder who's really, oh, okay. So they're talking, he finds out that Becca, his wife, is the person who does Homelander's like social media. And that she does all his tweets and things like that, his Facebook, all that stuff. And it really, it makes you wonder how many people do that are famous because they're too busy to, that they have a ghostwriter basically. And it's kind of deceptive. And, like who's really on Twitter, and, even on some of these real accounts, are you really talking to them? Is it just, somebody who knows how to stick with the brand? And there's some definite, there's a lot of real people on Twitter, famous people, But I mean, in some ways, I get it though, because like I said on my Wizard World video, when you reach a certain level of fame, whether it's internet or regular fame, like regular celebrity, there is that side of it that you have to be careful who you talk to, because there is crazy out there. There is that kind of thing. So, I mean, I get it, but it's also kind of deceptive at the same time. Hugh and Annie have sex. And her eyes turn glowy when they're doing it. But again, the liar character, part of Hugh, is sitting there in the afterglow, lying to her face, saying no red flags. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, I want this. I hate the waiting on this. The liar character. Like, I would have loved for him to have just come clean to her a long time ago, because it's just, again, I got a thing, an email from Amazon, okay? I know I'm not, like I said, I'm not super special, not the only one, but Amazon's asking me to give my feedback on this show. And I will be saying, look, I don't care if it's in the book, especially if it's not in the book, don't do this cliche shit anymore. Be original. Don't go down the same path as all these other shows. Give us something unique, because I know that this show differs from the comic. I've seen enough videos, people talking about that some people think the comic's better. Some people are saying that the new version, the show version is better. Maybe because it's been updated for modern, more modern audiences, like 13 years later. But anyway, Homie finally remembers Billy when looking at the pictures. Sees that face, remembers him from the A-Train race, and so, that look. So now we know, like, something happened for sure. Okay. I don't usually nerd completely out, but Deep's banishment in Sandusky has one really great thing about it. And that's, we get, and I hit the character name, I believe his name is Jeff. And he's played by Brendan Beiser. And when I remembered where Brendan Beiser is from, I completely nerded out. Because Brendan Beiser played Agent Pendrell on the X-Files. Now, I don't know anybody else pick that up, but he's one of my favorite side characters from the X-Files. Agent Pendrell, you're always going to be Agent Pendrell in my heart. Agent Pendrell was this character on the X-Files who had a crush on Scully, and he was really sweet and really nice. And I won't spoil what happens on the X-Files, but Agent Pendrell forever, man. Agent Pendrell forever. So I'm just glad to see him in this. It's really nice to see character actors continue to work. Like, you know, I don't know. I'm sorry. I like to point out these things. It's Agent Pendrell. Homie calls a 7 meeting, a Justice League type meeting that they haven't had in a while, lining up everything that's been going on, and that he exposes Annie's involvement in it, which she has no idea of. This is where the liar character is revealed, that she's been played by them, and she should be scared because honestly, you're not getting fired. Like he makes it, I mean, they make it sound like she could just like leave, but no, he just kill her. This is she's about to die in this scene, and he wouldn't have a problem with it. But at least Maeve kind of like stands up for her. It's like she's an idiot. She fell for this guy. He was, he completely doesn't know what's going on. And then he even calls us mud people. And I was like, oh, there we go. There's the real Homelander. We're mud people. We get baking with Frenchie. He wants out. And, oh well, guess what? Annie knows, and now, as I predicted ages ago, that the cliche liar character will be found out and misunderstood. Because, yeah, it started out as, I hate Soups too, and I'm going to use her, and, oh, well, guess what? I fall in love with her, and I got to keep the lie up, and, oh, no, how's this going to turn out? And, But A-Train goes to Hugh's house because of Mesmer, what he told Homie. And at least he uses A-Train's addiction to V to get his dad safe. And he's like, who's worse? And it's like, you fucking cunt. Because he won't take responsibility. He knows what he did. He's eaten of the guilt. He's one of those people that's going to take it out on everyone else but himself. He hates himself. I know he does. We can see it, that he hates what he's done. But he just can't. He doesn't hate himself enough to own up to it. It made me think of what happened on the first season of Broadchurch. I know that's like miles from this, but like the killer on that show knows what he did, but just he won't take responsibility. He's like refuses to pay the price and fights it. And that's what I feel like is happening here. But he came alone, and I like that Kimiko snuck in and breaks his fucking leg, like snaps it with a pipe. Now, here's my problem. Okay, why didn't they kill him? They broke his leg, now break his fucking skull. One less Soup. Why didn't they kill him? It makes no sense to keep him alive. Not one bit of fucking sense. They had him dead 2 bites. You take him out. Billy would have... That is a choice that Billy would never... It doesn't make sense. Except to just keep the character around longer. To be more despicable. And it's like, no, we have him. I disagree with this as a choice. Just for drama's sake, that'll be another thing that I mentioned in my little thing to Amazon. Because I loved it. But then you got to finish the job. You got him down. You don't get him out of the crosshairs. I don't know if it's because Billy wasn't there and he was. But again, fuck all that. He's the one who killed your girlfriend. And, ooh, Hugh's not a murderer. Well, he blew up Translucent Man, didn't he? It's different. No, it's not. Preemptively, going after anybody that disagrees with me in the comment section. Sorry. Milk goes to get his family out. Lott's getting close to a military deal. And Homie brings up Becca Butcher. And we finally find out that he didn't kill her. So what is his involvement? We still don't know. We know that he didn't kill her. Okay. There's still this mystery. Okay, and Deep Deep brings a girl home. And I love this because I said, this feels like a trap. I felt like this felt like a trap. Like that somebody was using this as something. But it's really, he's a joke to everybody still. And even this girl who wants to have sex with him, she's doing him as like, she's a star fucker, but she's also just kind of a fucking up person where she sees the gills, and now it's like it's a way to turn the tables on the Deep and have him be assaulted the way he assaulted Annie. And it's really weird because I did not know about his gills. You know, she's sticking her fingers in his gills and it hurts him and everything, and he's being taken advantage of. And again, I was just surprised at like, why didn't he just kill her? I know that seems to be my answer to everything, but these people don't seem to have morals, and to suddenly give them like, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and get raped by a girl. Well, I mean, she she's not she's not having sex with him. She's playing with herself while she fingers his gills. At least that's what it looked like anyway. And I don't understand, like, why didn't you just like take a lamp and bust her over the head or something? Billy and Mesmer catch up. I love this because it's very much like the Terminator. The Mesmer sees Billy, runs. Billy does like a Michael Myers, like just keeps walking and lets the person run and hide until he hides in the bathroom. And Mesmer, you think, you know, he's gonna get Billy. He's like, I can help you. I can help you figure things out. And Billy, you know, touches his head, and Mesmer just like, but I have a kid. And yeah, Billy just fucking see. This is why I know A Train would be dead, because Billy just takes Mesmer and beats him to death with the side of the sink, which was brutal. I mean, is badass actually. I guess that says something about me, doesn't it? Um, so Mesmer's dead. I mean, he sold him out, and Billy that's not Billy's character to leave a character like this alive. Um, and here's what I wrote down for I. So we assume that they had sex, Billy, Homie, and Becca, right? But I was writing down, I bet it was consensual, but she just couldn't tell him that she was with Homelander. She was all starry-eyed, and he's charming, and they had sex. Now we don't know. We don't know yet what happened in that room because she didn't. You know, she ran. If she was raped, I honestly think he probably would make her disappear or put the fear of God in her. But she seemed to be just kind of looking guilty more than roughed up when she was in the but whatever. Again, tightrope here, you know. We don't know the full story, but it just to me I felt like this was a moment of weakness on Becca's part. We also find out that Mallory was CIA, and Maeve and Annie. Uh, Maeve says that her weakness is people. Deep into lobster. He's talking to a lobster at the grocery store, tries to save it, and it's the guy takes it out of the tank, and he thinks he's just going to take it home with him, and the guy stabs it in the fucking head. Whoops. Milk calls Billy out about the CIA and Homelander. Homie visits the doctor who made him, and about talking to him about Becca Butcher. Um, the doctor's played by another great character actor. He's been on Gotham and a whole lot of other things. I like him a lot. He's kind of relegated to a really minor, small part in this, but there are no small parts. Homie always looks like he's got some. Okay, yeah. Does anybody else notice this? That it looks like Homelander always has something in his mouth, like right here. Like he's always got something in the cross of his mouth. And it made me think of Brando and The Godfather. It always kind of looks like he's got this kind of like, I don't know. I can't do it with the beard, but it always looks like he's got something in his mouth. Like he's saving a piece of food for later or something. But we find out that Homie had sex with her. It appeared to be consensual, like I said, and he knocked her up. And that's what she couldn't tell him, and that's why she disappeared. She was waiting for somebody to take her away, and that she died in childbirth. The version of that we see, which looked really bad because the blood was just coming from everywhere, inside, outside. So I mean, I don't know if this scene is just fantasy and they filmed it so that we would buy it. It said that she died, baby clawing its way out, and that the baby drowned in her blood. Now, no body, no crime, or no death. That's how I take things. So I was already going, well, do we really know that at least the baby died? We don't know, because come on, it's a super baby. We've already had super babies. Reminds me of this Matthew Sweet song. But then we have, he was raised in a lab, and I'm just like, don't care. Don't care. You don't have to become what you become. That's a choice, and you won't own up to it. CIA comes to get the families out, and he can have everything he wants, but not Homelander. And Annie finally calls, and I was like, set up? Because she's crying, and she's, I don't know. But the CIA tells Madeline it's over. It's a great scene, even though it really kind of means nothing. It's nice to, have that speech where the corporation or the bad guy gets kind of put in that place. But, yep, of course, they don't shoot him. Supervillain, they show Madeline has this ace up her sleeve, or at least what I thought she had an ace up her sleeve. So there's like this big news report where these guys are in the Middle East going through mowing down these terrorists that they're taking out. And it's all going according to plan until some guy walks out with a bunch of tattoos. Now, why don't they shoot him? They shot everybody else. Why not shoot him? What the fuck is they waiting for? Oh, that's right. They're waiting for the plot. And so he turns into like a nuclear bomb kind of, where he blows everything up. And yep, they've created supervillains, and Vought wins because now they'll have it, because this thing killed a bunch of soldiers. That'll be all the reason that they need to put the supes in the military. So success, right from failure to success, they immediately, just when you think they've got them, they've got another ace up their sleeve. But is it from Madeline? Annie and Huey, yep, here it is, liar character confronted. But Q tells Annie about the Compound V and about her true origin, that she was not born this way, that she was not chosen by God. And then Billy shows up and shoots her twice with a big-ass sniper rifle. Now, I don't know if those were bullets or what, if Annie's bulletproof. I don't know, but it puts her down, and that's the end of the 7th episode. So we'll be right back with episode 8, the finale. All right, so we made it to the finale. We are talking about episode 8. It is called You Found Me. Run for it, Marty! So it starts in Syria, where we have a very one-sided fight where Homie comes in and just tells all those soldiers to have a smoke or something, and just goes in. Or we get a cool scene of him he doesn't need to do anything really, but he uses laser eyes, which he just destroys everyone. And so the terrorists, they found the beat. It's a whole big story of how did the terrorists got their hands on it. Vought doesn't know how, and this congressman, I believe is a congressman or something, played by Jim Beaver, great Jim Beaver, another great character actor, again, from Breaking Bad, Deadwood, just phenomenal actor. He's trying to call her out. And again, until we hear, I was like, yeah, this is all a lie. I mean, she's saying, what does it matter? They have it. And it's because, you can't, until you actually hear the information, you're just going to assume that they gave it to him. Because we know that was what was going on with Kimiko. So they would have an unending loop of supes versus villains powered by the same company that would control it all. So it's like it would just never stop. And once they get in, it's like a tick, man. You have to burn them out. And nobody can help the boys right now because they're thought of as fugitives, and nobody wants to touch any of this. So they're just basically told to run for their lives. And Annie goes home and confronts her mother. And, all about this chosen by God bullshit. And that, this is kind of like the mothers who, with the, to take their kids to force their kids into, what do you call those damn beauty pageants, or the girls that force their the mothers that force their kids to be cheerleaders, trying to live out the dreams that they couldn't have in their past. And it's the same thing here. It's like, oh, well, they paid for the bills, and why did their dad leave? And it's like, well, it is kind of like thin. Like the dad left because of the deal that they made for her. But it's like, why wouldn't he try to take her with? What did the corporation do? Like, that kind of thing. Oh, and then Jeff, played by the guy who's, Brendan Beiser, who was Agent Pendo on the X-Files. They're celebrating with like some vodka smoothies, but they're celebrating nothing because Deep thinks that because the Supes are going to be in the military now, that he's going to get called back up. But they're basically like, no, you're still an embarrassment. And they start playing Everybody Hurts from REM, and I'm just like, oh, the poor rapist doesn't get called up. Oh, it's at least, okay, the Deep character is just constantly just being more and more humiliated, and that's kind of what I wanted the rest of this show to be, is just the complete collapse of the Supes. But it's really it's just the Deep. You find out that Mallory's still alive, and that she owes Billy for some reason. And boys are attacked. Kimiko and all of them are taken. I thought for a second maybe the Kimiko would turn it around, but whatever they dosed her with does eventually knock her out. But Mallory tells Billy that Madeline, if you want to know and never come back, Madeline's the one who would know Homelander's secret. Like, what would be his weakness? They let A-Train go. I guess I forgot, but damn it. Why did they finish? I wrote down, why did they finish the job? So it's kind of like melting those. So he has this like mini meltdown, And Billy knows the boys are taken, but again, he's only concerned about his own vengeance and just got to keep going. So Billy and Hugh part ways because Hugh can't do this anymore with Billy. He's got that one track mind. Deep, continuing with the Everybody Hurts music, takes it all off, literally, and just pathetically shaving all his body and shooting down. That's it. He just disappears like for the rest of the episode. So we'll have to wait till next season to find out what goes on with him. Hugh and Annie, he has to try to convince Annie to help because you're a superhero. It's your job, and that you saved me. And she's like, well, what do you mean? Like we just went bowling. He's like, she's just like, that's just being there for someone. It's like, yeah, sometimes that's all anybody needs is for somebody just be there. But she says that I don't care. It's like, sure you don't. A-Train, pulling a train, is back on the V to heal his leg. And, at least it's nice to see that his brother, unlike other people that in the sports industry, Derek Rose's brother, leaves him. He doesn't enable him to go down this path. And, of course, he gets called a fucking loser because A-Train's, a piece of shit. Black Noir, who we don't really have never had anything with, and I think that's supposed to be, he's supposed to be the mysterious character. He's only shown up and done a few things. He cut up Kimiko, and now he apparently can play the piano really well. But I like how he just sits down and creeps the guy out, and I think that's his MO. I think he knew. I think hiding behind that mask is like, it affords him the ability to just use that to get what he wants. But we get the great Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad, Gus Fring himself, and a lot of other things, okay? He's been in a lot of other things. He was in Usual Suspects, man. He's in this, and he's Edgar, the guy on the 82nd floor. And I'm like, okay, if you're going to have somebody be above Elizabeth Shue, fuck yeah, let it be goddamn Gus Fring himself. And they find out that they're getting $40 billion a year from the military. So her success here means that she's being groomed to be brought up to the 82nd floor with him. We also see that Starlight, after everything that happened with Hugh, she's back in her sexy costume, putting it all on and getting drunk, hitting on a soldier boy who's really only interested in one thing. And she even tells him, like, when I have sex, my eyes come out. Ooh. But she gets sick and throws up in the bathroom. There, Maeve shows up again, and I do like that she's just like, go ahead, just get it out there, like your bottomless, what does she say? Bottomless casual cruelty. I like it. She throws it in her face, but Maeve goes, and tells her, oh, I was you. And it's like, Durhay. Of course we're going to have this story. And she literally says, like, word for word almost what I've been saying. They chip away at your soul. It's like, I almost felt like, how did they know what I was going to say? Exactly what I was going to say. But anyway, she just tells her to be original and be the goody two-shoes asshole because somebody has to be. And then we find out that it wasn't Vought that was giving the terrorists the V, that it was Homelander himself, that he was taking it upon himself with the help of A-Train, which is why A-Train was running all over the place, giving people V so that nobody would know, which is the connection to Robin's death, that when he was running around doing homie's bidding to give bad people the drug to create a superhero, which wasn't always successful because they were giving it to adults and not right away from birth where somebody could get used to it instead of giving it to an adult, which would probably have really bad effects to a lot of people. That's why it's taking so long. So Homelander, I mean, I got to give it up to Homelander a little bit. Like he was proactive about getting the job done himself. Like, again, why does he need these corporations? He found the V. So I mean, I guess there'd probably be a limited supply, so unless he could find somebody to make it for him, maybe that's what they could have on him. I don't know. But basically, endless sequels. Like, now they can go on forever. And of course, she's beaming with pride over this and decides to have sex with him. And it's brief because you'd expect it to be. He's really just a kid. Like I've said before, he's a fucking kid. He's a psychopath. He's Patrick Bateman with superpowers and corporate sponsorship. And Frenchie and Milk. So, and that sex scene was very awkward. I thought he was going to blast her eyes out, like face off with his eyes right there. And then, like, oh, sorry. Oh, no, I killed you. But I kind of was like, why are they alive? Why weren't they just shot in the face? Unless they were planning on torturing them. It's like, seems like a lot of time to be keeping them there without anybody like doing anything. And Kimiko's missing in action too. So I wrote down, homie needs a mommy. He's sitting there in her lap as usual, but she says a word that doesn't track with the story about Becca and the baby to Homelander. And look, Homelander's fucking crazy, but he's not stupid. So she says it was a miscarriage and that his eyes, his goal. Say what now? But he doesn't give it, he doesn't tell her about it. And Hugh gets caught on purpose. I did like his plan that he puts the polygrip like retainer in his mouth so that they can take the metal and pick the lock out or pick the lock. They have to punch it out of his face, which was good. And they find Kimiko in a hooked up to like a bunch of monitors and stuff. And of course, this is where you get that close-up shot of somebody being like, oh, I found you. So of course he gets shot, right? Yeah. He was shooting the gun. I'm sorry. It's really funny. But they use that distraction to get Kimiko out. And Billy finds Madeline. I love this, just sitting in the dark. You're his weakness. But Starlight, just as they're pinned down, Starlight comes to the rescue. And it's this big explosive thing, and it's really cool, even though she's basically like, it seems like kind of like a human sparkler. But A-Train arrives, and this is a cool moment. Actual hero versus a villain, except the villain gets the drop on her, except pushing himself, like his brother said, almost kills him, and he has a heart attack. And instead, again, of letting him die, because they're so good, they help him try to survive, but Starlight tells Hugh to go. And honestly, I kind of thought that when he left, she was going to walk away from him. Like, do a Walter White. And be like, well, Huey doesn't know, wouldn't hurt him. But no, she's good. She's a good person. I'm just a dark person, I guess. But she continues CPR. I mean, I thought that the whole call and everything was fake, just to get Hugh safe and take him out. Because maybe she'd understand that if you keep leaving them alive, they'll just keep coming after you. Because she even said, he's just going to keep coming after you. But she doesn't. And so we have our last bit with the standoff between Homie, Billy, and Madeline. Stop playing rapey Santa and get down here. God, they give Billy just some of the most hilarious lines. So Homie comes down, pushing Billy. You know, what's your end game here? And he's like, I'm really going to hurt you. That's good enough for me. Well, Homie's got the real truth, but we don't hear it. He tells her that he asked her not to lie to him, and she did. And he whispers something to her, and we don't know what it was. So season 2 or 3 or whatever, thanks for not giving us that. But we do, you know, she says, like, you know, some truth to him. She's like, I'm scared of you. And he's like, good, finally some truth. And then he really does blast her in the face with the eyes. I wanted her to scream a little bit more because it just kind of is like over. She doesn't react at all, really. It's just kind of like, and she's just gone. So Elizabeth Shue has died. And that's probably going to make Edgar, see, I want to know, you get Giancarlo Esposito on your show, it's got to be something more to him than just this. Please tell me there's more to him than just being another corporate shrill. But basically saying, fuck it, Billy triggers the bomb. Now, I don't know if Homie took the time to get Madeline's baby out of there. We don't know. But at this time, I'm under the assumption that Billy was just not only sacrificing himself, but blowing up the baby as well. Knowing that wasn't going to kill Homelander, but that he wasn't going to let Homelander be the one who killed him. But Homie, in the end, saved him because he knows the real truth. And that is where he took him. And that's that Becca is still alive and had the kid who's now 8 years old. And he's the child of Homelander. And Becca sees Billy lying there in the grass, and I was just like, okay, so I understand that she's protecting her child and protecting herself, but I mean, it's got to be complicated because I'm mad. I'm very mad right now at she looks. I don't know. The look on her face, I didn't care for that much. I don't know. It's a very complicated experience. But yeah, now Homelander has a kid that he can raise in his image. But see, he maybe was being raised properly, and now it's going to be this. Again, why would Homelander keep Billy alive? I don't know. But that's where we ended. And so that's The Boys. That's the finish of The Boys. I do have some problems with the writing on this show, and that's the main thing that I'll be hitting on in that little discussion that I have with Amazon. But other than that, I mean, again, it was, and I do get why some people are like, why, whatever happened to having seasons resolve something? And I do have to admit that I've gotten so used to everything having this long form structure that you don't really, where's the end? What is the end game? Because again, it's hard to sustain that. A lot of times you find out that shows really don't know what they're doing, what their end game is. Not every show is like Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, where you know that there's a beginning, middle, and an end locked in. This kind of show kind of feels like they don't really know where it's going to go and whether or not you get a season 2 or not. So it would be nice if shows, some shows got back into that structure of like Buffy or Angel. You have like a main story that ends and then you start to set up a second season at the end of it. And that can be frustrating too, because if you don't get picked up, then you go, what happened? Especially with like the end of Angel. Or you get the end of one part of the story where it's like, it feels like the end, but then they set up this other thing and you go, oh, wait. And then we get fucking 12 years of fucking Bones or whatever the hell. So anyway, That's The Boys. So if you liked these reviews, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. We will be back to do The Boys if they do get picked up for a second season. Otherwise, this is Robert Smirking Interview saying you can find me on Twitter at Yesh8, that's YESSHH8. Also, if you look up Rob Stone, a.k.a. Smirking Interviews, that's on there as well. So, speaking of all that, you've heard my name and all that. So have a great day, and we will see you on the next video. Bye.